KOGI Principles presents The Council. Please be advised that The Council is an immersive audio experience based on the written novel, The Council. Be advised, certain sounds may seem to be coming from the sides or behind you. Not to worry, it's all a part of the immersive experience. Listener's discretion is advised as this content contains certain adult language and mature themes. Be advised and enjoy. Hey listeners, this is Shanel. I'm here with David from the podcast, The Council, and we're just going to talk about a little behind the scenes of the podcast, what it meant to you. And David plays James Whitfield. He's Vanessa's father, and it gets a little intense between him and his children. So we'll talk a little bit about what that felt like, what Black history means to you, a couple of things like that. So my first question, what does Black history mean to you?
Well, I mean, for me, it means a lot of things. I mean, when I think about my family, I think about all the times my parents took the time to teach me about the history. They're not just Black history, but their history as Black Americans in this country. And so it means a lot to me. And it's for me, it's part of it is just connecting with the members of my family. And this is a tradition that I, want to share with my kids as well.
Nice. Thank you. And how do you think we can spread history and make it connect to future generations?
I think we continue to do what we're doing. It's about sharing stories. So I take what I've learned and I pass that along to my kids, and then hopefully they'll do the same.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's important as Black people to make sure we are passing it along. We kind of have to pass that mantle to make sure future generations know our history, our past, where we came from, so they can see their future. So can you tell me about this project? What was interesting, fun?
Oh, well, first of all, it was just a lot of fun. Just, just understanding the story. And the more we were involved in it, I know for me, the more I gravitated to my character. And as a dad and all the things that he was trying to do with his family, the stance that he was trying to take as far as making sure that his kids had all the things that they needed, were equipped, and then looking into the future and trying to prevent any negative things, and also just trying to equip his kids with all the tools that they needed to be productive in this society. And then, identifying all the pitfalls. And so I really, the more I got into the character, the more I really appreciated who he was and what he was trying to do.
Hey listeners, how you doing today? This is Charles Price. I am the author of The Council and also the producer of this podcast, The Council series, this audio experience. I just wanted to take the time out to thank you for joining us on this podcast adventure. It's been a wild ride, and I wouldn't trade it for the world because it gave us this opportunity to create this content for you. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're enjoying this behind the scenes bonus episode where you get to hear from the actors themselves and hear some questions about Black history, about what it means to them, and why they chose this content. If you could, please share this out with someone that you love, a friend of yours, family member, hey, just a friend on the bus, whoever you can. Share this out because we want to make this a global experience. If you can visit our website, www.councilseries.com, where you can purchase your very own copy of The Council. All of this will be helpful for us. We'll be able to go forward, create more content where you get to hear more Black stories, artistic stories that have resilience in it, that have triumph, that have lessons, that have knowledge for everyone to learn from what we have to offer in the Black culture. And so I just wanted to share this out. Thank you again for listening. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Shanel, where you can jump back into this bonus episode.
Got into the character, the more I really appreciated who he was and what he was trying to do.
One thing I noticed as an African-American female who has brothers, your relationship or how you interacted with your son and your daughter was very different, right? With Vanessa, it was teaching her about Black history, doing all this. But with your son, it was more of a, hey, I don't want you to get hurt or it was powerful, yes. but it was kind of put a strain on the relationship. So in thinking about that, can you tell me what imprint do you want your story or your character to have on the audience today, even just taking apart those interactions?
Well, I mean, you're right. Dads tend to treat their daughters differently than their sons. They want to protect their daughters, but they want their sons to go out there and be fully equipped to deal with all of the pressures all the hardships, and make good decisions. So I think at the end of the day, dads want both their daughters and their sons to make good decisions, but they have to deal with each individual differently. And it's the same way with just kids in general. Every kid is going to be different. But I think the role of the father is always to prepare his children for the world. And so I think this particular character, my character in this sense, did a great job of doing that, especially in the case of the police interactions and kind of understanding all the things that as a Black man you have to be ready for. And so you see it all play out in the story, and you see the tension. You see the sister trying to kind of be a go-between dad and son. And it's a beautiful kind of marriage of, kind of play between those two as they deal with each other. And then the brother and sister, how they deal with each other, and the dad just trying to navigate that whole situation to come to a great outcome. So, but it's a great story because you see parents really taking the time to teach their kids about the world and kind of get them ready. And so it's great in that sense.
Yeah. And one thing I was thinking about as you were talking, like, how do you think as parents, as Black parents, how do we try to create that balance of teaching our children, like, hey, I'm hard on you because the world out there, they're not going to be easy on you. And this could truly happen to you, but a balance to still like showing the love and the caring so it does not draw a wedge. Like the protection that you're trying to give them does not draw a wedge between or overshadow the love that you're trying to give. I
think that's a great question. I think a lot of it is just teaching good values, and I think when you do that, a lot of these extremes, you don't necessarily, they're worst case scenarios. You don't necessarily by teaching them the core values, teaching them to be good to people, to love people, to be respectful of people. In many cases, they're not going to have to deal with some of these extreme situations because they won't be in those situations. But it's about really just making sure they have all the tools. You want every possible tool in their toolbox. And that's what this dad was trying to do. And that's what you could see in this family. He was trying to instill that in his family. So it's a beautiful thing.
My next question for you is the joys and pains of being Black. And I think this question is good for you because when you talk to Vanessa, it's more about the joys, right? Like all the inventors, all this. But when you talk to Eddie, it's the pain. So what are some of the joys and pains that not that you necessarily experience, but that you feel as a Black man? Well,
I think that's a great illustration. I definitely think it is that. I think it's the way the world imprints itself on you. As a Black woman, you're as a dad, you're going to want her to go out there and be free to kind of do all the things to chase her dreams as a young lady. You want her to be able to chase her dreams. And in a lot of cases, and I think, Black women are able to do that. They're the most educated, they're really balling out there right now. Whereas I think with Black men, there's always that stigma that Black men have to kind of push through, and to a certain extent, Black women as well. But you really want to make sure in their formative years, as teenagers, as young people, that you take the time to just make sure that they're rooted and they're grounded, so that regardless of what their experiences are, they're able to grow as just people. And that's what you really want. You want them to be well-balanced people that you're sending out in the world. And so I think that's what's important. It's important to most parents. Balance. It's balance.
Balance. I like that. I like the balance. And I was thinking about that too, because we have a rich history, and there it is. It's full of joys, it's full of pains, but it's full of triumphs. And I think it's important that we know and understand the triumphs. All right. Well, thank you for having this conversation with me. Thank you for joining the project. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in today. You have just listened to another episode of The Council. Tune in next time for an all-new episode. KOGI Principles presents The Council. Story written, directed, produced, and edited by Charles Price. Thank you for listening. And if you can't get enough of The Council, please visit www.councilseries.com to purchase your very own copy. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends, family, and a random person.